everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. We are very excited to be coming to you with another one of our Facebook live chat sessions. And we'd like to thank Rebecca for our topic this morning, talking about staying connected in a remote or hybrid environment. We've got a lot of people that have returned to the office, but we've still got a lot of people that are doing both. Maybe they're managing individuals that are still choosing to work from home, or that's just the place where their offices are now located permanently. Or a lot of people are hoteling, kind of the new term for, rotating in and out, sharing office space once in a while. So they're finding that it's more of an obstacle than they thought, kind of staying connected with one another. So we want to give a shout out to Rebecca for giving us that idea, how to stay connected with their teams.
Yes.
So what about you, Brianna? What have you found? Because we've done that. We did that for a year.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I think, looking at it, one of the biggest obstacles that I thought I would have to overcome with it was being such a social person. How do I continue to engage at the level that I know you and Dewey both need? Because it's different.
Yeah.
You're not as necessarily need as much engagement as say, Dewey or I do. And so understanding I think that was the biggest obstacle. How does this work now? How do I make sure I'm tailoring it to what each of you need? And I, believe it or not, enjoyed working from home. I didn't think I would.
Yeah.
But I certainly, I think it gave me that work-life balance a little bit, like what we talked about a few weeks ago. And I'm going to own it for a second, you all. If I'm going to pause for it real quick. I don't like our camera angle, Ray, so I'm gonna change that.
All right, definitely. Well, heavens knows I can talk this whole time just by myself. So whether you call that a blessing or a curse, I certainly could do that. In thinking about what we went through, and we can talk about those anecdotes as well. But, I heard kind of when we started this journey way back, 13, 14 months ago, a lot of us had it in our mind this would be, 1 week and then 2 weeks, and then it turned into a month.
Right.
And Patrick Lincione, one of the authors that at Missouri Training Institute we certainly watch and read a lot about. And I remember him saying that relationships would either get better or they would get worse.
Right.
But no relationship was going to stay the same.
Right.
And, I thought that was an interesting concept. And, you kind of like, okay. But then it proved to be the case.
Right.
And one of the things to think about was how am I going to be more intentional with those relationships? Because I think what you were doing in the office to stay connected just organically, you absolutely couldn't take that and translate it, or transfer it into a hybrid or even at the time a remote environment.
Right.
It just didn't work that way.
And I think, when we were thinking about that, I think we all became so intentional about wanting to stay connected because we weren't in that environment that maybe we didn't pause to recognize, would I have even done this if I was in that, if we were back in the home office and I was in that environment altogether. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to discuss some of those biggest obstacles maybe that we've all faced when it came to working in that remote environment, and give you all some strategies for maybe how to move forward if you're continuing to work in that remote or hybrid. I want to pause. We always get so excited to jump into content, and I want to go back to the question that we posed in the chat for you all. And that was, again, what are some of the biggest obstacles you faced in moving into that remote environment, or maybe if you're still in it? So if you can go ahead and send some of those in, we're monitoring our chat right now, and we'd like to just hear from you on that. The other thing that I really want us to recognize as we move forward with it, these are meant for you all. And so we certainly, any ideas or thoughts, comments, let's help each other out, right?
Yeah.
Be each other's best partner when it comes to connecting in this remote environment.
Yeah.
So, Ray, I'll ask you from the supervisory standpoint while we wait for some of those comments to come in. What was it like? I mean, we talk about that intentionality and having to go forth and recognize what did I need in that. How did you determine that?
You have to ask.
Yeah.
You definitely have to ask. And this is one thing, when we talk about that intention, things that could occur in the office just by passing by somebody's desk or by passing somebody's office door. I could see what was going on. I could read your body language. I could hear, we're good about just yelling from one door to the other, or we could hear each other through the walls in our offices. And so we could kind of get a temperature of what somebody's doing or going through during the day. And we had to be much more specific about asking, what do you need? And of course that comes with, we're lucky enough to take our research in and actually practice it. And so I think we're lucky in that way. But if you don't know, you have to be asking. What do you need? And you have to be intentional with that. You have to set those boundaries. You have to set those expectations. Our research has also shown over the course of the last 12 or 13 months that one of the things that they found was that coworkers, when they talked about their biggest obstacle, was they didn't think that their coworkers thought they were working. And so they spent a lot of time proving they were working.
Right.
And it got to be a little bit silly almost because everybody was like, well, what if they don't think I'm working? And everybody was thinking that, and then everybody was working. And then it got to be where they didn't know when to shut it off.
Right.
They didn't know where were my office hours, if I could always be on.
Right.
And so I'm curious if people out there were also feeling like, I'm always in the office because now my office is my home. It's my dining room table, or if, it's that place I created in the back of my bedroom. And so they always felt like they had to be on. And that became a huge issue for a lot of people. And I know that was something you often brought up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's just my achiever in me. So I don't know. I think that it certainly perpetuated it a little bit, moving into that home environment and making my home my work. But it is certainly, you just got to have that control enough to turn it off. Excuse me. I think one of the other things when we're considering this, I like what you mentioned at the beginning, is that not thinking that we're working. I remember when I would start copying you and Dewey in on everything, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're not in the office and I can't just yell to them. So I want to make sure they know that I'm following up on this and I'm following up on that. And I can remember specifically the conversation we had where you were like, hey, you don't have to copy me in on everything. Like, it's okay. And I think that was important for me to hear. So for all supervisors out there, taking the time to let your people know, that's trust, right? I think that's at the heart of it. That's trust.
Yes.
You trust your people that they're getting the work done.
Yeah.
And I've been so intrigued by the amount of clients who have contacted us asking for some sort of accountability method, to put into place for tracking people's work. And I love what you asked one client the other day. How do you know your people are working? Well, when they're getting stuff done, are they producing results?
Right.
So,
well, I want to say it wasn't just you that was copying people. I mean, we all did it. I did it too. I remember, I'd CC you in on things and Dewey, and and then I was like, wait a minute, I wouldn't have normally done this.
Right.
And if there's trust, if you've already established that trust, hopefully through other actions, you're maintaining that. Because again, even good relationships, you've got to work now to keep them good.
Right.
So they're either going to get better or they're going to get worse. And, we're lucky we had good relationships. But again, what are we doing to maintain that more intentionally? But we all did it.
Yeah.
And I did have clients like, I need an activity report. I'm like, why? Well, I need to know that they're working. I'm like, are they producing?
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, then they're working. And so be smart, people, be smart, and check in, don't check up on your people.
Yeah, and I really, trust. We'll do a quick promo here for it. Podcast launching. I know it's such a big deal for us. And you talk about that trust and being able to maintain it when you go into that remote environment. But we did 2 whole episodes on trust, and we probably could have done a lot more. podcast launching soon, however, so if you're not familiar, please sign up for our podcast. I'll put the description in the description box here in the live chat. But yeah, spending some time talking about trust, and maybe you have to be intentional in that remote environment, coming back to that trust discussion. Maybe you spend time in a virtual meeting with a team, kind of getting back to the basics. I think my husband struggles with this with his own team sometimes, is trying to understand how do we make sure we are all staying connected when we've been in a remote environment for so long that you just kind of get into your own daily routine. And it's not top of mind to necessarily be intentional about coming back and talking about trust and coming back and spending time together where we're really team building.
Yes. Yeah. And for teams that didn't do those types of activities or behaviors in the workplace together, it's going to be even more difficult. And so I recommend even setting a timer. Put it on your Outlook or whatever calendars that you use, and actually set a timer that says, connect, to remind yourself and to get into the rhythm of something. And it might go slow, because if you weren't doing it in the office, it's going to feel weird and it's going to be a little bit out of the norm. But I think you need to establish some type of cadence for doing those things, to just get into the groove a little bit and get people expecting those things. Anytime you do have reasons to come together, whether it's your weekly one-on-ones or whether it's your regular scheduled team meetings, you absolutely must build in time for social hour. Whether it's the first 10 minutes of the meeting, but you absolutely must do it now. If you're hybrid or fully remote, it's a must. And you can come up with all kinds of fun team building things. First of all, you could just Google them. I mean, there's thousands of really fun things. And so I kind of want to ask, if you don't mind, I want to ask people to put that in the chat. Like, what has been some of the most creative or fun team building icebreaker activities that people have done? And we can share some. We've done some, when we've been working with clients, maybe when we've been training virtually, and we might bring it to the team. Or I've even asked companies that I've been working with, what are you guys already doing that's creating that cohesion? And I know some people are like, roll their eyes, and I get it, but some people do need it. So for those that don't, suck it up. Suck it up for the people that do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because somebody else does need it. And we are social beings. And, take one for the team. You just got to.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that, because I know that that's not necessarily something that you always need, having that kind of sitting around kumbaya-ing time. And so you are absolutely practicing what we preach here with this, because it really helps. Let me say that. It really helps, and it makes me feel like recognizing what I need and that being top of mind for you as my supervisor. I mean, that's incredible. I feel so fortunate to have you.
Well, see, I want you happy. And when you're happy, that makes me happy. And if a little kumbaya is all it takes, heck yes. I'm all in. I'm all in.
We've done some fun stuff. I think when we look at different activities, when we've been on a virtual setting before, I had you all do, there's so many apps. Oh my goodness. The whole thing, there's an app for that. Yes, there are apps out there. There are web versions of those apps. Padlet has been one of my favorite, I think, recently, because if you are, especially for us when we're doing trainings and we don't have the luxury of necessarily having that real-time feedback because you have a group of 30 people on there, Padlet is kind of like your sticky note place. We would do like a big sticky note wall design with brainstorming and strategizing. Padlet allows that in a digital environment, and it's free.
So we like that.
We really like that. that's been fun. And what it allows you to do, I think in the one we did for our team, I just had you all go in there and I had you pick a GIF on like how you were feeling today,
Yeah.
right? And we're able to just go in then and create this funny, laughing environment where, we were able to kind of gauge each other's emotions, get a feel for it before the meeting started. And that was nice. And so Padlet was certainly one that I enjoyed using while we connected. And so there's, oh my goodness, there's so many out there, though.
Oh, yeah.
We love Slido and Mentimeter, and I mean, those are actual audience interaction engagement activities. One of my most favorite is Canva. They start a presentation place now where you can actually engage. So while you are doing your presentation, you can hit a keystroke on your keyboard and it lets confetti down, and oh my goodness, it's so much fun.
Yeah. One of them, if you're on Zoom or things like that, is to put your backdrop as your favorite vacation.
Yes.
Like where you wish you were. I mean, just even simple things like that. I was working with a client last week, and I said, just look to your left, and whatever's on your left is the gift you're giving. And I mean, some people had like a cinnamon roll. I mean, everything to a box of Kleenex, and so it was just, and then we were wanting to trade gifts, and it was kind of fun, and it just brought us together, and it was immediate, you didn't have to overthink it, and, but it was fun. And I didn't know many of these people, because I was just walking in or, virtually walking into this company. And just fun things that kind of bring it. And then we could use it through the other 3 hours that we were together, laughing about, taking a break and, smoking that guy's Cuban cigars that he was talking that he would have, those kinds of fun things. Because some people were just coming off shift, and so they were like, I'm going to relax, and just some fun things to do. So it doesn't always have to be, brainy kinds of things.
No, and I think when we get down to it, it's really about just learning a little bit about someone else that you're in that meeting with, that you're on that team with. And the thing is, if we reflect and we're being honest with ourselves, we probably weren't the best at it in the office because, again, you're in the daily grind. Not us. I'm speaking in general.
Of course, not us, right?
Speaking in general. How intentional were we in the office? And here's the thing is, maybe if you weren't, and you're realizing that maybe the team is suffering now in that remote environment, just coming back and starting somewhere.
Yes.
Starting somewhere. Like, it's never too late. Mm-hmm. And I think that oftentimes we stress, it's been a year now, it is what it is. No.
Yeah.
I like what you said, just start, right?
Yeah.
Just start.
And, we kind of mentioned and talked a little bit about that with another client, that, we weren't that chummy in the office. And now if I try all these strategies, are people going to be like, that's weird. You're not my best buddy. And I get that. And I think just come clean is the best part. Like, I realize some people out there might be struggling right now. And I know, I'm not trying to be, besties or anything, but we probably need to make more of an effort. And so here I am just trying to do that and just come clean as a leader, or as somebody just trying to put that effort out. And you're right, just start somewhere. And persevere, because you're going to have some people that just aren't going to be part of it no matter what, in the office or out of the office. And that's okay. But other people are going to be like, you know what, this person's making an effort. Okay.
Yeah.
And then little by little, you might chip away at that rigid exterior and they might go ahead and commit, you know, but don't let that deter you. Stay the course.
One of my favorite examples of that, and I'm the type that it's like, I usually don't take no for an answer.
That is true. That is true.
But I mean, it works, truly. That perseverance mindset, I believe wholeheartedly that it works. And, I've mentioned before in my former career, I worked at the police department. And sometimes when we'd go through the Sally Port first thing in the morning, officers were so in tune with what they had going on their computers and, in different calls. And man, they just have so much work to do. I'd come through and I'd say, hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm waving at them in their patrol cars. And at first, I think when I started, they were probably thinking, who's this crazy person that's coming through our Sally port? I'm lucky I didn't end up in the back of the car. But then eventually what started happening is they started waving first.
Yeah.
You know, they knew to expect that Brianna's going to be coming through the Sally port at 8 o'clock in the morning, waving at all of us. And I think that speaks to that, is that you start kind of chipping away and you create a new routine.
Yep.
So it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
I want to pause for a second. We have so many great comments coming in here.
Yeah.
And so if you all haven't guessed, I'm trying to manage our comments and all of our fun little graphics here that we're putting up. So
she has to do it because I can't see. It's too far away.
Yeah.
I got too many levels on my glasses to be seeing that distance. So you read, and
absolutely.
I'll kind of recap a little bit. You know, we talked about being intentional with relationships and with the things that you're doing in this hybrid environment. So relationships are either going to get better or they're going to get worse. So you've got to be more intentional. So whatever you're doing, do it. Right? Be intentional with those. Really think about trust and what am I doing to build trust? Because trust is a process. It's not an event.
Right.
So you can't just go do a little team building activity and say, poof, there it is. Right? You've got to keep at it with those intentional behaviors. And you have to understand that it takes time and you've got to know people's styles. So I know what your style is. I know what you need, but we continue to talk about it because different things, different time, different seasons in each person's life, they need different things. So what you might have needed before children, might be different after children. So as you evolve as a person in your stage and age, things might change for you. So we've got to keep asking that question, right? So styles change. We've got to keep checking in with that. We talked about persevering, right? Keeping at it. And so hang in there. It can be discouraging if you're not getting the kind of feedback you want, but keep at it. Everybody's going to have a bad hair day once in a while, but keep at it, persevere, and know what you need. Right? Know what you need so that you can, treat people the way they need, but you've got to be able to ask for what you need.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think at the heart of all this, too, I mean, kind of going back to it, be authentic, be genuine in your desire to want to build the team, whether it's back together or just bigger in that remote or hybrid environment. Because if you're not genuine about it, I'm going to tell you, I'm a good person at keying in on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know there are others out there like me. So be genuine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead. No.
I would say I'm seeing some great fun activities that are coming in here.
Oh, good.
So it looks like we have Beth saying that they do scavenger hunts.
Nice.
So they look for items around the house at the end of the workday. Susan says that they do check-in questions at the start of every staff meeting. So she likes the what's your personal weather forecast for today.
Yep, we like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's fun. And if you have an opportunity, like that's why I use like the Padlet or Mentimeter or Slido, because you can use graphics to do that. It's almost little emojis or emoticons to display how you're feeling. So that's always fun. So it looks like Heather says that she has her team members engage in monthly meetings at a restaurant. Okay, take laptops with them, work the afternoon there.
Nice.
So it's a little bit of face-to-face engagement, but still bearing the cautions of social distancing.
Nice.
So that is fun. I like the when it first started, my husband's company did this. I loved it. The virtual happy hours.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
And they brought in different things. So you can do trivia, just a fun little trivia competition in that virtual happy hour environment. You can go around the room and just learn something new about your colleague.
Yeah.
I think going back to Lincione's personal histories exercise would be incredible.
Yeah, he does this kind of 3-question thing. And he talks about, where did you grow up? which you think, these are such basic questions, but they're really things you might not learn about each other even after years
Right.
of working together. Where did you grow up? How many children were in your family? And I like to know where you were within that. Were you the first? Are you the oldest? Are you the youngest? Are you third of 12? That kind of thing. And then what was a childhood obstacle that you had to overcome? Not your deepest, darkest secret, and share as comfortable, but what was something that you had to overcome as a kiddo? And sometimes, people are very revealing, but it's just as comfortable, what you're willing to share. And you can really find out some things about others. And that's a good trust building activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a great example.
Yeah, and that's from Patrick Lincione's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the buildings or the procedures in that book.
Yeah.
And the book is a quick, easy read.
Yeah.
I'm not a very quick reader, but I think
Yeah.
I finished it in less than 2 days. So.
Yeah, and he has a field book that he accompanies that with, full of activities and exercises that you can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I certainly, when I think about these activities, I tend to be the type that doesn't always know the boundaries of sharing too much. However, I think that particular exercise, that personal histories exercise, you're right, it just kind of scratches the surface. And it's something that you share as much or as little as you're comfortable with.
Right.
And what was so interesting, I did that for one of our clients a couple of years ago. And there was some colleagues that had worked together for almost 20 years. And one of the colleagues, as soon as she had said where she was born, which I believe was Nigeria, the other colleague looked at her and said, I had no idea.
Right.
What? Like, I had no idea. And you see like this, and they start the conversation, and I mean, they'd worked together for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it's incredible how we just kind of get in the day to day, and we don't recognize, like, we are still, there's interdependence in our workplaces.
Sure.
We have to spend time getting to know some of our colleagues.
Yes.
We spend more time at work than we do at home.
Yep.
And so I think that there's opportunities out there. Right. Absolutely opportunities out there.
Right.
I know when we talk about it, there are some things to consider when it comes to the method in which we are trying to do these team building activities too, though. We're talking a lot so far. The examples we've given have been a lot about meetings. Understand that if you are doing constant meetings and you're trying to team build based off of those constant meetings, that you might actually be impairing someone's ability to get other stuff done too.
Sure.
So there's got to be some boundaries set to this. The other thing is identifying, is this the right outlet for this particular conversation or team building experience? Our check-ins, when we were remote, we didn't do those in a team meeting, you and I, like a Zoom meeting. We did them on the phone. And so just kind of understanding that not everything has to be a meeting.
Correct.
There are different ways to approach it.
Yeah. And I think that was another thing to think about when we were establishing those boundaries as a team also, is what kinds of things what kinds of communication is right for email? So what kinds of things do we put in an email? And it was kind of like weird going back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, we don't see each other. We can't just yell at one another, across the office lobby here like we do. So what's good for an email? What's good for, a Teams video call? What's good for an IM? What do we text? And so we really had to establish some boundaries of what kind of communication goes here, here, and here.
Right.
And then when do we just pick up the phone? And sometimes we'd start in an IM and then we'd be like, hey, can I just call you?
Right.
And once you establish those boundaries, here's the thing, you got to stick to them.
Right.
So you can't get lazy and try to do something that's now falling outside those boundaries, because then the whole thing falls apart, right? And then you somebody else is like, now wait a minute, I thought she said we weren't going to do this kind of thing, through IM.
Yeah.
And I've caught myself, like just even the other day, something that I thought started out as a very innocent conversation, now it just got bigger and bigger. And I was like, stop.
IMing. Yeah.
Yeah, stop IMing, and something that you started off, and I was like, okay, come in and we will talk, and so you've got to set those boundaries, but then here's the deal. You got to stick to them.
Yes.
And you've got to be willing to hear that as well.
Yes.
And I think I was like, come talk to me, know, and I was saying, I've got to get off IM,
Yeah.
but, and talk about the process before you're in it.
Right.
Messing it all up.
Right. Yeah, and I think when we talk about that, one of the other obstacles we mentioned at the beginning, the stop working, the disconnecting, another element to that and respecting those boundaries is when you're creating and establishing all of them to begin with, understand that maybe sometimes the best time to respond, and I know you have a client who has at the bottom of their email, and I'll let you share it because I don't remember exactly how it says it.
Yeah, it was really cool. Because everybody kind of has their own circadian rhythms.
Yeah.
I, as well as Dewey, we're both very early morning people. But then we're in bed by 8:30, and so
I'm not.
Sometimes, we're opposites very much. But it was, I loved this. She was the one who brought it up, and I've used it a couple of times. But I think she said, I'm writing this because it works for my schedule. Please respond when it works for your schedule. And so I think that was nice in a hybrid or remote environment, because sometimes people think, oh, she's writing to me at 4 a.m., I've got to respond to her, or she's writing to me at 11 o'clock at night, I've got to respond. And no, it's just, this is when I'm thinking about it, and this is when it works for me.
Right.
And I really liked that, and I appreciated that, because one of the things I would never want to take away from my other coworkers is their right to be at home with their families.
Sure.
It just works for me, and as an empty nester, my time is my own. I get to choose when I'm on and off. And so I thought that was a really cool thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say that just little elements like that. When we think of team building, sometimes we think it has to be some sort of big activity.
Yeah.
Recognize that small little things like that, like just taking the time to respect other people's boundaries, like respect what works for them, respect their communication style, ask, what that is. That's team building in itself. Like those little pieces will build your team, will help you stay connected, and will keep it a more natural feeling as opposed to something you're just trying to force.
Yes. Yeah. And then you know what? Honor that person by respecting their words.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bother to ask, then you need to listen, and you need to honor that. And for me, I have no head for details. Anybody that knows me, you, Dewey, my best girlfriends, my best guy, it's not that I am disrespecting you. It just is not my style. So I have to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever you told me yesterday or whatever you did 5 years ago. And I do. I've got little notes that will say exactly what you've told me, or what I'm supposed to do. But whatever works for you, in order for me to honor that. Because it's not that I don't want to or that I devalue that. It's just simply that's not my nature. So as a way to honor you and your style and what you need, I have to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do what works for you.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, I don't think it's anybody's intention to go against what the other person asks. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's mean people, but I don't think ordinarily we're mean.
Right.
We just do what we've always done because we're creatures of habit.
Correct. And we tend to be self-serving in some, until you are intentional about not being.
Exactly.
Like it's just natural.
Yeah.
And give ourselves grace.
Yeah.
We're all humans. That's what happens. But absolutely, I think just being intentional. That's probably we've been talking a lot about that. This whole process is intentionality.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead as we're starting to wrap up here. I'm looking to see, we haven't had any questions that have come in, but while we do our final wrap up, go ahead and send those in if you have any.
Yeah, challenge us.
Yes, please, please, please. Again, these are for you. And so the other thing we'll ask of you, if you have ideas for our next topic, please send those in to us as well. While you're thinking about those and getting them to us in chat, I want to go ahead and just chat real briefly. Okay, probably not briefly. I'm not good at that. But I just want to... Ray laughs because when we talk about honoring our communication styles, I talk too much, and Ray likes it very quick and to the point. And so I'm trying to continue to work on that. But we mentioned our podcast earlier.
Yes.
And I want to just encourage folks, we have announced it, what it is. It's called The Weekly Workplace.
I'm so excited.
I am too. Oh my goodness, it's going to be fun. We've recorded several episodes. We will be launching very soon. Very soon. The launch date itself is kind of a surprise. However, there is a way for you to be the first to listen. All right, and that is by signing up today to join what we're calling our Workplace Professionals group. The link to do so is in the Facebook Live description. So click on that, enter your first name, last name, email address. You will also, with that, be entered into a drawing for a free first week webinar. And that would include either of our ones that we do on Tuesdays or Fridays. So from leadership to just frontline topics. Mm-hmm. So please, if you haven't done so already, sign up today for our podcast. You'll be the first to listen. You'll get exclusive news, and you'll get entered into that drawing. And here, I want to go ahead and just get you even more pumped up about it. All right. Pretty exciting. We are very excited about that.
Yes.
In addition to our podcast, we do have some upcoming trainings. We haven't been good at talking about all of our upcoming trainings because we get so excited about doing these for you. But we do have some upcoming trainings. Here's what the calendar looks like. The first two you see are part of our first week webinar series. I will actually be training both of those, May 4th and May 7th, handling conflict, and then building effective relationships. And then, Ray, if you want to talk about May 13th, our supervisory certificate series.
Sure. We've got a 4-day series that kicks off on May 13th, and the 13th and 14th, it's 2 days in a row, and then we'll do the next week, we'll do the 19th and 20th, I think, or the 20th and 21st, or some, I don't know. But 2 days 1 week and 2 days the next week, and they're 4 hours each day. So then you actually receive a certificate issued jointly between the True College of Business and Missouri Training Institute. So all 4 topics new each day, but they all go together. So you can sign up for those on our website, and it's listed there as well. So would love for you to join us at any of those events.
Absolutely. Yeah, lots of opportunities to continue your professional development. We love these.
Yes.
We love doing the Facebook Lives for you. And so
we're going to be in a new location next time.
Oh, we will be.
We're moving.
We are moving. Again, we're still in Witten Hall. However, we're moving on up.
We're moving up.
Yeah, moving up.
Yep.
So moving up to the first floor. So we're excited. We don't know if we'll be bringing it to you virtually,
I
guess, next week.
We have no idea.
No. But in the meantime,
we
will. In the meantime, let us know what some ideas are that you have. If we don't get any, then we'll come up with one. So I'm looking here. It looks like Heather says she loved the supervisory certificate series. Thanks, Heather. So yeah, all that information, mti.missouri.edu. Yep. I'm not seeing any questions come in, so I guess we did an okay job.
You guys got to stump us next time.
Yeah, that's right. So for right now, I just want to say thank you all for joining us, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.